Welcome, everybody. This is Gamesoverplastic DLC special episode number 7. I am your host, Midnight. Joining me today are two very special guests here. First and foremost, we have the editor-in-chief. This man was our very first guest on podcast episode 3 and 4, back to back, like Jordan 96, 97. We had Lockmort. He does work for Retro Rebound, Rewind, his own channels.
I wish I only work for Retro Rewind.
Okay.
I don't work for any other channel anymore. Just Rewind. But yes, that's true. Thank you so much. What a nice introduction. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. How you doing?
Well, great. It's an honor to be back here. I enjoyed it so much. I think it was a long time ago, though. That was like, when did you guys start this channel? Like a year ago?
Yeah, it was in like January, February.
Oh wow. Okay, so a very long time ago. Well, I remember that it was fun. So I'm glad to be back. Thank you for having me back. Always
Yes,
a pleasure.
Happy to have you back. And then last but not least, we have everybody's favorite person in Discord who wants you to let him hold $20. We have Sensei JDOT. Deontay, how you doing, bro?
I'm doing good, man. Look, I just try to get the $20 out of everybody because, hey, you never know what you can do with $20. You can get a good, like, 2 Wendy's meals with $20. Probably not with this.
No, not anymore.
But I'm happy to be on, man. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, happy to have you. It's funny. I went to Wendy's the other day and I spent $16 on one meal. I was so pissed. I was kind of annoyed. I didn't even really notice. I didn't think anything of it until I got home, and then it hit me that I spent $16 for a sandwich, a fry, and a drink. I'm like, what is going on, man?
Yeah. Especially when the quality ain't even the same like how it used to be, like a couple of years back.
It's not. Anyways, so this is Gamesoverplastic. In this special episode, we are going to be talking about the BioWares latest RPG, Dragon Age The Veilguard. Dragon Age 3, if you will. No, 4. This is the fourth one.
4, yeah.
Yeah, it's the 4th Dragon Age game. It just came out on October 31st. We have all 3 played and beaten Dragon Age The Veilguard, and we're going to tell you what we think about it. So the first part of this podcast is going to be spoiler-free. So if you haven't played the game yet, you are safe to hang out and listen and let us know in the comments what you think about what we're saying and what you've seen or think about the game. If you have opinions, feel free to share it. Leave a like on this video, subscribe. This podcast is available on all audio channels as well: Spotify, Apple Podcast, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Everycast. If you want to see the video version with webcams and everything, go to youtube.com/@gamesoverplastic, or just look in the description of the audio version. There's always a link to the video. So with all that out of the way, let's go ahead and get into it. First of all, non-spoiler takes. Let's go ahead and start with our guest that hasn't been on the show just yet. Sensei, what are your high-level takes of Dragon Age The Veilguard? What did you think? Did it suck? Was it really as bad as everyone says?
Nah, I don't think it was really bad as everybody said. I don't really think it warranted that much of a controversy or, the discourse. I can understand what some people, understand, with the choices and stuff and that stuff not carrying over compared to how BioWare's other games are, like Mass Effect. But for me personally, I had a bit of ups and downs with the game. With there was some side quests that I was just like, you could just go ahead and skip all of this and just go straight to the main quest. But other than that, me personally, I had an enjoyment of the game. I had a great time. I think it's a solid game if you just beeline like the main quest and do some of the side quests. But other than that, I don't really think it's that bad of a game to where some people are saying, oh, it's a 3 out of 10 game. And it's just like, I don't know about that. But hey, everybody has different opinion. But, for me personally, I think it's a solid game, at least.
Yeah. What say you, Locke? What do you think of the game?
I thought it was a decent game. I thought it was like a 6 or a 7 out of 10, more so a 7 to me. I did think it was not a great RPG, and I also don't think it was a great Dragon Age game. But I thought it was a good action game, a fun, good action game. I'm very glad I played it. It also didn't overstay its welcome. I thought it had good length, good characters here and there, good main character in my case. So yeah, I enjoyed my time with it. I completely agree that the discourse around it has been sullied so much that it's very hard to talk about it without getting everybody mad from either side, which is very annoying because it's a video game. A video game should be fun. If you don't enjoy it, don't play it, and it's gone. So, but I'm glad I played it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I enjoyed this game as well. I liked it a lot. I think I'm higher on it than you two are. BioWare is my favorite developer of all time, as I've mentioned before. Absolutely love them. I think I'd probably rate this an 8.5 or so. I thought it was quite good. I thought the ending, especially, which we won't get into spoilers yet, but I thought the ending was spectacular. The ending really was drawing elements from big Mass Effect 2 vibes with the ending, with like the choices and everything. And also a little bit of Mass Effect 3, the extended cut vibe, how like you get to talk to everybody like 2 times before you actually go in there and kind of recap on some stuff. And they go into some of the things you helped them with. And I thought that was cool. But yeah, overall, it was pretty good. As far as Dragon Age, guys, let's go ahead and do this. This will be fun. No spoilers or anything. Let's go ahead and rank the Dragon Age games from worst to best now that we've played them all. Locke, why don't you start us off? What do you think is
from worst to best, right?
Yeah, 4 to 1.
Okay, 4 is for me Inquisition, 3 is The Veilguard, 2 is 2, and 1 is Origins.
Okay. I think that's pretty solid. What about you, Sensei?
It's the same for me. Inquisition, Veilguard, 2, and then 1.
Okay, that's pretty good. For me, I'm gonna say Inquisition. It's the same. Inquisition, Veilguard 2, and then 1. Yeah, but it's so close, honestly, between Inquisition and Veilguard because I really liked Inquisition as well. But I do think the Veilguard was better. I love the graphics were phenomenal.
Yeah.
We'll talk about some pros. Let's talk about the pros. The graphics were phenomenal, like the environmental effects.
Yeah.
The combat was insanely fun to play, like that action combat. Like when I ran into enemies, especially for the first, 70% of it, I was actually excited to get into combat. I'm like, oh, I'm about to mess these people up, Towards the end, it did start to, drag a little bit because you're just like, all right, I've been playing this game now for 60 hours, But it was a great combat. And I enjoyed the story overall for the most part. What would you say? What would you guys say some pros are? You thought?
You want to go first, Locke?
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I think one of the good pros is that I feel like this Dragon Age opened up a lot more lore than I feel like with Inquisition. Inquisition, it felt like I want to say that they somewhat tacked on, but I had to replay the game again. I didn't do it too much because I had issues. Like I thought the pacing was bad, but the graphics as well, I thought was like astronomical in terms of like a BioWare game. Because BioWare has not always been like a graphics first type of company. They always been like more of an art style, and you can tell that with like Dragon Age 2 or like Mass Effect. They always been like an art style type of company. So going from there to Dragon Age Veilguard is really insane. And I also think that this is the best character customization they had in years because I played through Origins, and I played through Dragon Age 2 and Locke. Midnight can tell you I have been trying to make a black character in Dragon Age Origins, and it's like, man, can I have some hairstyles? It's like, no, man, go ahead and put them cornrows on there. I'm like, oh Jesus!
They just give you the standard 2 options, like an afro and some
cornrows. I was like, no. I was like, well, that's how you know it's dumb times back then. Well, other than that, character customization, gameplay, the story and the lore is really what did it for me.
Yeah. What about you, Locke?
Well, I thought especially the hair physics in this game were incredible. I made my Rook to look like Thor because I thought that would be funny. As like I played like a warrior, a Grey Warden warrior, so I made Thor, and the hair physics were so cool because every time he did some actiony thing in a cutscene, you could see like his entire hair whip around, and it was really cool. I really liked the hair physics, but also the art style. A lot of people had a problem with it because from that initial trailer, it did look in that initial trailer like a Fortnite kind of art style, but it really wasn't. It was a unique art style that they had here, and the dimensions of the bodies and the heads on the bodies wasn't like accurate, but that made it good. I think that made it distinct, that made it different from other games. So I really thought the art style was amazing, probably the best out of all 4 Dragon Age games to me as well. I thought the combat at first wasn't hitting for me. I was playing as a mage at first. I think Midnight, you played a mage too. What do you play as a sensei? Did you also play?
I played as Rogue.
Oh, cool. Okay, so we
Yeah.
had three different perspectives then. Because I switched from a mage to a warrior, and as soon as I got to warrior, I was like, okay, this is cool because I could throw my shield and be a little bit more inside of the action instead of doing it from far away. So once I switched to warrior, I was really excited to get in every combat scenario. But like you already said, Midnight, I think that was a great point. After a while, I would say after 30 to 40 hours, your skill tree is basically maxed out because you already know what you're going to pick. And after that, it's kind of like going through the motions. Like I was just throwing my shield every time and it would just go Captain America style. Boop, 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 everybody's dead. Okay. Next. But yeah, I really enjoyed the combat too. I thought that was one of the highlights of the game.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. You guys want to get into some cons? Should we do that?
Sure.
All right. I'll go ahead and start it off, I guess. So with the cons here, I would say, obviously, let's go ahead and address the big elephant in the room, the big topic that people hate. This game was the target of a serious hate campaign from the anti-woke crowd because this game had a lot of trans stuff in it. A lot of people aren't fans of trans stuff, which I understand. I'm not the biggest fan of all time of trans stuff, but I love the game and I enjoyed the game anyway. Of course, they have Tosh, which is a character, and she is non-binary. Later in the game, starts out as she, but later in the game, she's like, I want to be identify as they them, and of course, people ran with that. There was two main scenes. There's the push-up scenes, and then there was the one in the mirror at the start where it was like you can set up a trans identity or whatever that everybody ran with. So that I would say was a con. The fact that existed opened up a serious target on the game that really blemished it. I feel like if that wasn't in there, the reception would have been way more positive and they probably would have sold a lot more copies. Yeah. What did you guys think about all that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So
I'll have to start calling on you guys.
yeah, so I had my grievances with Taj when they first revealed her. You know, I get that they were trying to make her into more like Carlac from Baldur's Gate 3. Because I think like her dynamic, you know, she's like this strong muscle woman. And she's basically like Wonder Woman or so. And people are like, yeah, pick me up, Bobby, or whatever. And then they try to basically push it toward Taj. And, you know, I think Taj, in terms of like her backstory, is somewhat interesting. How she, you know, I'll not get into spoilers. I almost spoiled it for you. But I think Taj is somewhat of an interesting character, you know, on the surface. But I think when you start to delve deep into it and then they start getting into like the politics of it, it starts creating like a somewhat like, I don't think you probably should have put it in there. I think that they probably could have written it way better. Because I always think of Baldur's Gate 3 and there's like some trans characters that's in the game. And a lot of people, they're just like, oh, this person was trans. I'm like, yeah, you probably didn't know because it was really good writing. They don't really explicitly say, hey, I'm this, blah, blah, blah. Whereas Taj, she's just like, yeah, this is who I am. Deal with it. It's just like, she keeps bringing it up and it's like, oh, all right, whatever.
Yeah. Lock.
Well, I thought I agree, but I thought Tosh's writing was so bad that it actually made me laugh. I kept bringing Tosh with me because she kept making me laugh because it was so stupid. The things he would yell out because it's such a dumb character. Not because she's non-binary, but just the way that she's written. She's like an idiot. So every time anything happened in the game, she would just interject with something stupid. She was like, "What's going on?" out of nowhere, like a catchphrase shouting sitcom character. Which was really funny. In the beginning, it really annoyed me, but after a while, I was like, "Oh, I got to bring her. I got to see what her reaction to this will be," and it never failed. I think the woke stuff. I already said it on LSM on Summon Sign too, so I won't get into the entire thing again. I think it's way. People were way overreacting to it in here because, like you said, the trans stuff. There's one mirror in it. That's it.
Yeah.
I couldn't find. There's a couple of side characters that are trans. Who cares? Like nobody gives a shit. But the writing was the problem. Like the writing in this game at oftentimes wasn't good, but the lore was so amazing.
Yeah.
So I think I don't understand why they put it in there. Like they actively hurt themselves. Like Like what's happening with Avowed right now too. It's the exact same thing. Why? Why do you do that? Why would you sabotage your own game like that? It didn't. I mean, I guess it's important for the director. I forgot her name, Corinne Bush, I think,
Right.
because she's trans too, so it was probably like very important for her to be in it, and I get that. But then you also get the result that you barter for. So it's hard to feel sorry for them, which is a bad thing to say, maybe. But they did it. They did it themselves. Of course, the other side went way overboard as well. There was way too much hate for no reason, really. Because the game is... I've played way woker games than this, like Spider-Man 2, for instance. But Spider-Man 2, to me, was way more woke than Dragon Age The Veilguard.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, that's another example, too. But the writing in those games... Well, not Spider-Man, but the writing in Baldur's Gate 3 was so exceptional, like you already said, that it didn't really bother anyone. While here, it's like front and center constantly. So I personally think a lot of those people who had problems with it, if you just laugh at it, it becomes funny. It's like a funny scene with Hodge. So just maybe look at it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, it is. It's really been overblown. This game is super hated. I'm an old man, so I'm still on Facebook from time to time. And one thing that always happens on Facebook is when people hate something, they leave like the little laughing face emoji on it. Yeah. And every single Dragon Age post that I've seen in the last like 2-3 months, ever since this stuff came out, it's just flooded with everybody laughing at it. Like it's just everybody hates and shits on this game. They're like, this game sucks, horrible writing, gay woke stuff. Like it's crazy. And it's really unfair, but also self-inflicted because they did it to themselves. But the game deserves a much better shake, I feel like, for the quality of the actual game itself. Yeah. If you can just put aside those 2 scenes or whatever, 2-3 scenes that are really short in a 60+ hour game in the long run. All right, I say it's time to go ahead and get into some spoilers. What do you guys think?
Sure.
Let's go ahead. Now, go ahead. You got something?
Yes. Well, are we going into spoilers first? Because I want to start off with something here in the spoiler territory.
Yeah. If we're going into spoilers, let's go.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, guys. You've been warned. From here on out, it is spoilers. So if you haven't played the game and you don't want to be spoiled, come back later and check this out if you want. Because here we go. Lockmort, what you got?
All right. I went to film school, right? And I went to film school 2 or 3 years after this, or well, maybe a little bit longer, maybe 5 or 6 years after The Sixth Sense came out, right? So when I went to film school, it was very popular in every short student movie to have your main character be dead from the beginning. Wow. And the main thing you could tell when people did that was that he didn't interact with anyone. So he was sitting at a restaurant and the waiters would come by. So in this game, as soon as Varric woke up and nobody acknowledged him for the entire game, I was like, God damn it, they're doing it. They're doing it right here. They can't be this stupid. Like they can't do it this way. That would be so fucking bad. And then they did it. And the review, when that happened, I was like, okay, I have to dock like a full point off this game now because that is terrible writing. Yeah, that is terrible writing.
So you saw it coming,
dude. From the second Varric woke up and he was talking to Rook, and then I think who walked into the room? I think Neve.
Harding.
And Harding, yeah. She completely ignored him. She didn't mention him. She didn't didn't look at him, didn't say anything. I was like, oh, he's dead. He's dead. And then every scene he was in, he only talked to Rook. Even if there were other people around them, he only talked to Rook. And every time Varric came up, nobody really acknowledged him or what happened. So it's like, yeah, he's obviously he's dead. Did you guys see that coming or not? Or is that like a stupid film quirk that just annoys me too much? Or
Sensei?
No, I saw it coming. Like, it was obvious. Like, the way Hardin walked in there, it's just like, all right, Barry's over here like, oh, my goodness, my heart, my soul, my body, my neck, and my back. And then, like, nobody acknowledged it besides Rook. He's like, yeah, Varric, are you okay? And then Hardin's like, Rook, you're needed in, like, the watch table. And it's like, Barry doesn't even talk to Hardin neither. So that's, just like, nobody's not going to acknowledge it. It's like, oh, okay. And then you just keep journeying on, and it's just like there was that one scene around the round table, everybody was arguing, and he's just like, guys, let's keep calm. And then like nobody acknowledges except Rook. He's like, don't worry, Varric, I got this. It's like, nobody like mentioned like, Rook, why are you talking to yourself? Like, I just thought that was just odd.
And in that same scene, everyone was sitting except for Varric. He was just standing next to Rook, just looking at him, like nodding. very weird. Yeah.
You know, I didn't see it coming actually. Although I did start to suspect that something was amiss because he wasn't doing shit for the whole game. I was like, dude, how long is he going to be laying up in bed? Like, he's not going to help at all on any of these missions. Like, the world's ending and he's just chilling. I started to kind of suspect that something was amiss, but I didn't completely get it because obviously, not only was he talking to Rook, but I swear there were times where it almost seemed like he was, or other people were talking to him, but not like completely directly. Like it was done in such a way where it almost seemed like he was there, but he wasn't there. So it kind of, I was a little suspicious towards the end there, but I didn't completely see it coming. I never was like, oh yeah, he's dead. Until right when they were making the reveal, like right when they were about to do it, I clicked. I was like, oh wait, he's dead, isn't he? And then they were like, he's dead. And I'm like, oh damn. Yeah. So they pulled a. Well, I'm not going to spoil a movie on us, but
Oh shit! Maybe I did. Sorry, but why do you think they did this though? Because I think it would have emotionally hit way harder if he was actually dead from the beginning. You were like, "Oh shit, everyone can die now." That would have been way cooler to me than what they did here.
Yeah, I don't know why they did that. Where they were too scared to kill off a beloved character like that. I'm not sure. Like so early into the game, maybe they were worried about the backlash from another very popular game where they killed off a main character early on.
Sure.
And there was huge backlash on that. I don't know that there would have been backlash like that, but people love Varric. So, you know, and also you had Solus. He was like, you know, tell Varric I feel bad.
Yeah. Oh, that was another hint. Yeah, right at the start. Yeah.
Well, can I also say this? I know people say that Varric is a popular character, but do you feel like there would have been probably more backlash if they included like Morgan in a death or so?
Yeah.
Because, you know, I always feel like when people say Varric is a popular character, I never felt that personally. I felt like he's pretty much an okay character, but I always felt like Morgan was like literally like the fan favorite, especially since she's like in Dragon Age 1. I think she's mentioned it too with Flemeth and stuff. And then you got her at Inquisition. Whereas like Varric, he's just like, yeah, let me tell you a tale about the time I went to the liquor store. And it's like, okay, cool. But like, other than that, I don't really feel like there's nothing else that would put him at like number one over like Morgan or Ileana or like Alistair or so.
Well, that was the weird thing, right? Like, why is he suddenly so important? Like in Dragon Age 2 and Inquisition, he was just there. He was like, okay, part of the crew. But now he's like the leader. He's like the savior of the world. Like, why? Why is it him? And why did he was there?
Yeah,
he's been there for so long. That's why he's important.
He's the guy. Member. Yeah, they're like, this is the guy who can assemble a team, who can get the job done, who can like break into a bank vault and then get out without nobody knowing. And it's just like, where did this come from?
Yeah. Morgan is definitely the fan favorite for everyone. Everyone loves Morgan. Everybody's first waifu was Morgan in Dragon Age Origin. Let's be honest. Everybody smashed Morgan first. All right. There might be some, you know, crazy basic simps out there who went for Liliana, but no, Morgan was definitely the hot goth mommy that you needed. You know what I mean? So I love her. She's great. My two favorite Dragon Age characters actually of all time are Morgan and Solus. I'm a Solus simp. I love Solus, dude. He's such an awesome, deep, flawed, but cool character. So this really was a great game for me because it was really all about Solus and it featured Morgan a bit. I wish Morgan was in it more.
Well, and that she was actually Morgan, because for some reason they decided she's not Morgan anymore. But yeah.
She didn't have that sarcastic tone that she had in like Dragon Age 1 or Inquisition.
Yeah, she was suddenly like the wise old woman out of nowhere too. Like, she already was in Inquisition, I guess.
It's like, I want to say she had like that. Have you guys ever played Metro before?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Have you played Metro? You haven't? Are you planning on playing it midnight?
Mm-mm.
No. All right. So, Locke, you know what I mean when, you know, like in last, like, Artyom meets Anya, right? And she's like this battle strong lady. She's just like, oh, screw man, you can't tell me right. And then you go to Exodus, she's just like this calm and domesticated woman. She's just like, oh, you want a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, honey? And it's just like, what happened? What happened to this? Yeah, I'm about to shoot this like ghoul from like 2 miles away. and then you just like, yeah, I'll have the laundry done by the time you get home. And like that's what I felt happened to Morgan. I was like, I guess in my hero Pharrell then like smashed her to the point to where she's just like, yeah, I'm just very calm. I'm not being sarcastic anymore. I'm just like,
Yeah.
yeah, like how's everybody doing?
Yeah, no,
So-
exactly. It was also a little bit jarring that she knew everything. Like,
Yeah.
like why? Well, I guess why they explain
Well,
why
there
she
is a
knows
plot
everything.
reason for
Yeah.
that we find
But
out later. Yeah.
That's true. But then I think because of that plot reason, she also should have known that in Inquisition, but she didn't.
Mhm.
So it doesn't really make much sense that she suddenly became, what's her name again? Myrthal or
Yeah,
got, like, part
Mythal.
of-
Mythal.
Mythal,
Yeah.
yeah. So, well, I guess it does make sense because that happens at the end of Inquisition or in Trespasser. But it was just really weird to have her in here and not be herself. Like, and also,
Mhm.
also a thing that kind of bothered me is the lack of cameos altogether in this.
Mhm.
I wanted to see way more of them. I wanted to see Cassandra. I guess Dorian was in it, but
Dorian was in it. Yep.
who cares really? Like,
Yeah, no one cares. No one cares
No,
about Dorian.
he was there and he's gone, and it's just like, well, why did you even include him in there?
yeah.
Yeah,
Did you-
Morgan was more Mythal than Morgan, really. In this.
Yeah, she was.
Yeah.
Still
Did-
cool though.
Didn't you guys think, because after Inquisition, Cassandra was so important in Inquisition.
Mhm.
Like, I was sure she was going to be in this one. I would have loved to have her like a scene with her and Varric, or her mourning over Varric or something, but we
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
didn't get
That
that.
would have been cool.
Yeah.
Maybe they were planning stuff like this for the DLC, which has now been canceled because of the reception. So
Mm.
who knows?
Mm.
Let's go and talk about the characters while we're here. We're kind of talking adjacently. What did you guys think of the characters? Who was your favorite character? Who was your least favorite, and why? Go ahead, Locke.
My favorite was out of the characters that out of your companions, let's say, or in total of the whole game.
The whole game.
Well, my favorite was my Rook. My Rook was my favorite character because he was like I played him, or like how I would play as Rook. But I also recognize that a lot of people didn't like Rook because he's like, you couldn't really choose what he was like. He was always the nice guy. He was always the funny guy. He was always the hero, let's say. So I would have played him like this anyway. So to me, he was awesome. He was funny. He was exactly like how I would have played him. But I know Maddie, for instance, likes to play like more evil characters, and you couldn't do that here. So to them, he was like a miscast. But out of the companions, I would say Emmerich was my favorite. I really liked Emmerich.
Okay.
And Manfred, of course. Yeah.
So who was your least favorite as well?
Oh, that's my least favorite. I think Devrin was kind of boring to me because there wasn't really much to him. I thought Harding was pretty okay, but again, it's another case of like a minor character suddenly being super important out of nowhere. Harding was way more important in this game than she ever deserved to be, I guess. But
Yeah.
it was pretty cool having her there. But my least favorite, probably, I'm gonna have to say Bellaria, I think, because she was just so
Quirky.
she was so quirky, but quirky in like a Marvel way and not in a good way. Like I wanted her story to be more tragic, so you could understand why she was quirky, or maybe have like a dark twist to it. But she was just very one note, happy go lucky, which is not something that belongs in Dragon Age, I think. But I think none of them were like ultimately super bad. I connected with Emmerich or Manfred the most because it made me laugh.
Yeah. What about you, Sensei? Favorite and least favorite, and overall character thoughts?
My favorite, I'm gonna go with what Locke said. My favorite is Rook. My Rook was like a battle strong dude. He just took like, hey guys, like I know you guys are dealing with some personal issues. Like, cut the bullshit. Let's just keep it moving. Like, we have like a whole world to save, and you guys are over here bickering over like, who took the last pie out the refrigerator? Like, come on now. So I did like the fact that, and I agree with that. I felt like you could have been more evil in the game, but I mean, when I was playing through some of the Dragon Ages this past year before Veilguard, I have noticed that even though you did have evil choices, it didn't really feel like they were somewhat evil. It's just like, instead of me just going the extra mile to help out somebody, I'm just about to just brush it to the side so I can just get to my goal. And that's what it kind of felt like, whereas opposed to like Baldur's Gate 3, like if you do something evil, you actually change like the whole landscape, the world, characters die off. And I think that's a very step down compared to most other RPGs that I played. Who else? I'm gonna go with. I say Davern. I like Davern a lot.
Oh,
And
okay.
that's different from what Locke has said. So the reason why I put Davern up there is because there was the side quest where he did, and especially after you get to a certain point in the main quest where he starts to reflect, especially since he's a Grey Warden. For him being a Grey Warden, their duty is, hey, just kill the what do they call it, the Blight Demon or so, or is it
Archdemon.
Archdemon.
Kill the Archdemon, you die, and then that's it. With him, he just felt so conflicted because he felt like he was supposed to die at that point. His whole thing was just, I want to die. I should be dead. I should not be alive. This is the Grey Warden code. So seeing him conflict with everything, it kind of made me like, I wonder if that's how like my hero Ferelden had felt after the events of Dragon Age Origins. And that's what made me start to like him more. Third, I would say Emmerich and Manfred, like you said, funny. Fourth, I want to say I actually like Bellaria. I think she's kind of cool, and I did like the dynamic between her and when she actually does get to interact with the gods. I think there is a very interesting dynamic that I wish we had the chance to see how more elves would react to. What else? Number five, I would say Harden. And I forgot about Lucanus. I keep forgetting about him. Lucanus is somewhat cool. And I say my least favorite is probably like Nev and Tosh. Nev, I don't think Nev is a bad character. It's just her line delivery comes off as very flat. So it just makes me seem like she's not interested in being here. So it's just like, well, I'm not interested in talking to you neither. So
Sure. I think we both forgot one because I think you agree with this. Solus.
Oh, Solus, yes.
Well, that's what I was about to get into.
Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. I was going to say my favorite character in the whole game, it was Solus. I love Solus. He's awesome. He's the main character in this game, basically, besides Rook. He's the antagonist, if you will, but also, he's got a good heart at the end of the day. And I got the good ending. We'll get to the ending later, so we'll get into that. But I got the good ending with Solus, of course, so I was happy about that. My least favorite was probably Bellara as well, or Lucanus. They were both like Lucanus was all right. He was cool with battling his demon and stuff, and he was a good fighter. But I didn't really care as much about him. And also, he was the most Fortnite looking character. Like his face really looked like Fortnite art style for some reason. I don't know why. Like way more than other people. Like way more than Harding and stuff. So that was a bit weird. But yeah, no, Bellara was a little bit annoying. Her little character arc was pretty cool though with her brother, and it did get slightly dark there because she lost her brother again, basically. He made the right choice at the end, but it cost him it all. So yeah, I think that's what I would say about the characters.
Can I ask you a question? Did that annoy you with the brother? Because as soon as that's my whole problem with this entire game, really. As soon as something gets mentioned, that's gonna be the bad guy in this story. As soon as she said, "I had a brother who died," it's like, okay, your brother's not dead. And that happened with basically every character, something like that, something to that vein. So, did that annoy you guys, or not really? Did it bother you?
Well,
I think it was just a side story.
Sure.
Yeah, for me, I mean, it's just like I think I watch so many movies and TV shows. It's just like, the brother, turned to the dark side, and it's just like, we got to go save him. And then you like, we can't save him. He's too far gone, and it's just like, that figures. Yeah, not surprising. They took a lot of tropes, I guess, like you said, when you had the went to film school or so.
Yeah,
where they took a lot of like easy go tropes that probably would have been better back then, like 10 or 12 years ago. But now it's just like, you got to change it up, man. You got to switch all this up.
Yeah.
All right. Let's stick to character adjacency now. Let's talk about the romance in the game here. Who did you guys end up romancing? And any thoughts about that? Sensei.
I romanced Bellara. I think out of everybody else, I liked her the most. I like for me, my type of girl, I like the quirky girls. That's just my type. It would have been Nev if she had better line delivery. Then I would have been like, oh, okay, I see it. But for me, I say Bellara, I think it's her character design is cool. I also like her kid, but I also like how when it did come to the romance, she was just like so conflicted because she never been in a romance because she's afraid of like losing them, and she's trying to go through her nose. She's trying to pick out, all right, maybe I should, tell him this, and she's constantly going through notes when she's talking to my rook, and I was just like, oh, that's pretty cute. I like that. So I think out of everybody I wanted to romance, I think Valara was the number one pick for me.
Right on. Right on. How about you, Lot?
I picked Neve, but only because I didn't really have another option. I always play as like a straight guy in these games because I'm a straight guy. I don't really play women in games. Maybe I should. Maybe that's like a fun little thing to do, like a second playthrough in this and play like a woman. That should be cool, I guess. I still want to play through Mass Effect as like FemShep. That seems like so different, so cool. So I still want to do that. But in this game, I played like a straight myself, basically. So I had to go with Neve. There was no other option. So did I enjoy her personality? No, not really. Did I think her lines were amazing? No, not really. But again, she looked the best to me out of the two characters I could pick. So I picked her. I thought the romance was pretty well done. I thought it was fine. It wasn't really like the main focus of the game to me, but I thought it wasn't like in Baldur's Gate 3 when it's handled perfectly. But here it was okay. It was still fun. Yeah. What about you?
Yeah. I like that they included it, but they didn't do the best job ever. The choices as you're playing as a straight man, like I did as well, because that's what I am, we're not the best. I also went with Neve. She's the best of the female ones. Valara, again, kind of annoying. I wasn't going to date her. Harding, also kind of annoying, honestly, a little bit. Not going to date her. And then there's Tosh, and like I'm not going to date Tosh, even though Tosh is a female biologically. I'm not going to date someone like that. So I did. It's funny though. She almost would have been number 2, but there was no way I was going to do that. Neve was the clear choice for sure. So I romanced Neve. I thought she was pretty cool. I thought it was cool how she called you trouble. That was her little sweet word for you. You were trouble. She was cool. She was the best looking one of the group. So she had to get it. I do wish that there was more tits and ass. There should have been more TNA, more nudity, more actual sex. Like we need more Baldur's Gate style action. BioWare step it up. But at least they actually included it, unlike many games. So
yeah, true.
Shout out to that.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go ahead and get into the story now. Let's do it. So let's talk about the story. So the main overarching story is that in the beginning of the game, we stop Solus from bringing down the veil. He wants to bring down the veil to kind of restore the elves how they used to be, I guess. And we stop him. But as a result of us stopping him, he gets like imprisoned. And 2 elven gods, Elganon and Gillinane, I think, get released. And they're evil, of course. And they're going to destroy the world. So we have to stop them. That's basically the setup. You got Solus trapped, and you kind of can talk to him in your dreams. And he's trying to help you because he wants to get out and he wants to stop them. And you're going up against Elganon and Gillinane. What did you guys think of just the overall story? Did you guys enjoy it? How much did you enjoy it? Locke.
Well, the lore is, of course, amazing behind Dragon Age and behind Solus. I just think I was a little bit or very much disappointed, actually, with the execution here. Because I wanted those 2 gods to be really menacing and to be smart and cunning, like Solus is. But they weren't really. They were like typical bad guys who had like a plan, but their plan was just to convince like the evil subgroup from every city, join us for no reason. And then they did. And I mean, it would have been so cool if they were cunning like Solus and had like a beautiful plan to form like a new world or a new vision in their own way and make it beautiful instead of like ugly like the Blight. It's such an ugly thing. Like, why would they want that? That doesn't make much sense to me. So I thought the bad guys were okay. Did you guys see like the secret ending after the credits?
Yeah, I did.
Was that the council thing?
That was the Watchers,
yeah.
Those should have been the bad guys in this game.
Yeah, they should have.
Yeah, that would have been a lot cooler.
Yeah, like when they whisper, when you saw Logain, that was the one point in the game where I was like, oh shit, Like you see him, like you saw Logain there. So that's when I figured, well, this would have been awesome if that was this game, but it's not, and we're not getting another one, I think. So, or not for a long time anyway. So I thought the main story was good. Every scene with Solus was very awesome. I think those were my favorite scenes in the entire
I love
game.
Soul. I'm such a Solus simp. I love
Yeah.
that dude. There was no chance, there was no point in my mind at any point in this game that I was not going to side with and help Solus because that's my boy. Yeah, no, I'm going to believe whatever he tells me, and I'm going to because I want to believe him. I want him to be good, and I want to save him because that's my boy. Love Solus. Him and Morgan, best two characters ever in Dragon Age.
But you got fucked over then by him.
No, I got the good ending. We'll get into the ending.
Okay.
We'll save that towards the end.
Sure.
I got the good ending, so I didn't really get fucked over. We'll talk about it though. Sensei, story thoughts, general.
I thought the story was somewhat decent. I think Act 1, I want to say with Act 1, it felt like they were just trying to build up everything, like make sure you recap on the lore and everything else. And I guess, they were trying to appeal to more of the newcomers or so to Dragon Age series. So to me, I was just like, let's go ahead and get this out the way. Let's just go ahead and kick it up a notch. Then you get to the fort. And that's when I'm like, okay, now this is where it starts getting good. Yeah. And then from Act 2, it goes up and down. It feels like, oh yeah, we need to stop these people. But it's like, wait, before you do that, we gotta solve everybody's issues. And it's just like, what? And they keep beating you over the head. And Barry's like, Rook, before you even think about going over there to do that side quest, maybe you should help out your team with their personal issues. Balara is thinking about her brother. Emmerich is over there thinking about his books. We need to do this before we even go to the main quest. And it's just like, okay, I get it. You don't have to dumb down and say, hey, let's do this. And it's like, relax. Yeah. Relax a bit. And then you go to Act 3. And then I was just like, Act 3, I was just like, whoa, this is definitely the Mass Effect 2 type of setting. And I wish they had more. I wish they had more of Mythol. Yeah. Mythol in terms of the choices, because I don't know how you guys handle your Mythols, because there's different outcomes for how Mythol would interact with you and how she would you would either get her essence or you wouldn't. So how did you guys do it for you guys playthrough if you got to that? Did you guys get to it at all?
I fought her. She was being really annoying to me. So during that question there, which you have with her, you have to pick the right answers, or she will side against you. At the last question, I was so pissed off with her that I said, "Okay, I'm gonna attack you now." So I did, and then you had to fight a huge dragon, a level 40 or level 50 dragon, which was really cool. I love that fight. What did you guys think of those end game fights, those level 40, level 50 fights? Because they weren't really a problem to me. By then, your build is so far ahead that even if there's an enemy that's 10 levels ahead of you, the time runs out eventually. So you can just chip away at the thing, and if you have 2 healers with you, you're fine.
Right? I can tell you. I'm sorry. What you?
No. So I fought her. That's my answer. Sorry. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So I can tell you right now, in terms of the build, I'm not sure if they went too in depth with it. At level 28. As a rogue, and I picked the poison damage, apparently you can stack it up. At level 28, I was fighting level 45s and I was winning within 5 minutes. And I did that, I can just go in there and just start storming them. But then when I kept on going to the other bosses, it's just dang, another dragon. And then I was like, do they change up the moveset? Nope. Get close, swipe. The other one just go up on a ledge and just breathe fire. It's what's going on? But in terms of the Mythol, I did like the fact that if you chose the right answer, she would either come with you. There was one of my friends said he chose a lot of bad answers and she was just proposed to fight. But another friend said that he chose some answers and it left her somewhat conflicted, and he was still trying to talk her down, and she just ended up leaving. So I thought that was actually pretty interesting. I like the
essence.
Yeah. So I was like, that's what I felt like we needed more of. We needed more of those choices and dynamics, not with the main story, but with also the side quests. And I felt like if they did more of that, it would have been turning out way better. We needed more of the Act 3 and we needed more of Act 2, in my opinion, for the story.
Yeah, that's very
Yeah,
well
so
said.
for me there, with Mythal, the first time I pulled up, because Morgan said she doesn't like you to kiss her ass. That's what Morgan told you. So when I first pulled up, I said like this is a waste of my time, and we immediately fought, and I killed her. But then I was like, well, that's a little weird though. So I reloaded my save, and then I tried talking to her. And then I was able to very easily the first try. I was able to just like convince her to help me, and she gave me her essence and stuff, and she gives you a weapon too. It was pretty easy. Basically, the way I convinced her was saying that like humans are good and we're going to save people, and then she's like, "Yeah, but not really." And I was like, "Yeah, well, look at Nev. She fights for Docktown," and she was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool. I'll come with you. Nev is good." Yeah, it was like, "Oh, okay." So yeah, that's how I handled that. Let's go ahead and get into some of the choices. I've got notes here. So the first big choice in the game is when you have the dragons attacking two cities at once, and you have to choose whether you're going to basically help Nev and Docktown, or you're going to help Lucanus and what was that city? It starts with an A, right?
Treviso.
Oh,
Minrathis.
Well, you said never Lucanus.
Oh,
Minrathis was Nev, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
And
Marathas was
Treviso, yeah,
was
Treviso.
Yeah,
Lucanus.
oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
Which
right.
one did you guys choose, Sensei?
I chose Treviso. I like Treviso. Treviso was a very nice city, and it's like, and I felt like it definitely played into like the Antivan Crows dynamic of like, we are the crows, so you know what the crows mean? It means death, and it's just like, that's pretty interesting. And then you just look at the city; it's just like covered in darkness. Like, okay, Batman, like let's calm down a little bit. They're making it a bit like Gotham City, but I saved Treviso opposed to Marathas.
Okay. What about you, Locke?
I did the opposite. I saved Minrathis. I will say this was the point in the game where I realized, this is why people don't like this game. Because in a good RPG, you don't get presented with a label, save this city or save this city. That was really weird to me. That they gave you like binary options. So either do this or you do this. Like, no, it has to come organically. So when this came up, I was like, oh, well, maybe that's not the way to do it here. But I went for Minrathis. And I'm very curious to hear from you, Sensei, what the difference was between our two playthroughs. Because I still don't really get what the difference was. In my playthrough, Lucanus was like a bit annoyed for like half the game, and then he wasn't anymore. Did that happen with Neve? In
Yeah,
your
it
game?
did. It pretty much the same. She was just like,
Okay.
"Oh, I see that. You want to help out Marathas when you need
Yeah.
something." It's just like, well, I can't. I don't have the choice to help out you both. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, like the city that you don't help gets blighted.
Yeah.
So you have to clear out the map again and like do some quests to kind of get on their good side. You have to put in more work to get on their good side. But nobody really dies from it. There's not like, and yeah, I did notice that a lot of times they do kind of put like kid gloves on the choices. Like they do put like the label, like this will happen if you do this, and this will happen if you do that. And it probably would have been better if it was more like adult RPG where it's like you just see what happens, like not to have them tell you. But still pretty cool. I went with Docktown because I was trying to smash Neve, so that's why I picked it. I was like, I got to help her because that's going to be my romance. I don't care about Lucanus and his Fortnite skin. Although he was cool, I liked him.
Before that, there was another choice. I don't know if you realized this, because a lot of people didn't. Did either of you play as a Grey Warden?
No.
no.
Well, I played as a Grey Warden, and when you get to the Meadows Crossing, the blighted town, you get to interact with the mayor at the end, right? You can choose like,
Oh yeah.
you can kill him or you can keep him alive. But since I was a Grey Warden, I also had the option to make him a Grey Warden, so I did. And then very much later in the game, when you get to the wetlands, what's it called, Hawklands, wetlands, or whatever, he's there. He's there, and he has his own quest there. So there are little choices that come back, but that's the only time I encountered that. So did you guys notice that too with your class choice, that there were little choices like that? And what was that like?
Yeah, I mean, actually, that's funny you mentioned that. Let's talk about that because on that, I made a choice on that. I didn't have the Grey Warden choice. The choice I had was it kill him or leave him or let him go or leave him? Yeah. I chose to leave him there because I was like, fuck this dude. He's a piece of shit. He can stay there and die. And I actually did run into him later as a result. There was a quest in one of the cities. I think it was Treviso, maybe some city where people were being killed. So you had to go down and find the monster that was killing them. And you had to like solve like 4 or 5 different killings. And then finally you find out who was it. And it was the mayor. He was blighted. He turned into like this blighted demon or whatever, the mayor. And he killed a bunch of people in the city because you left him there. And then you had to fight and kill him. It was like a mini boss fight. So that was kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah. I had
What
the
happened
same
with you,
thing.
Sensei? Same thing, or
Yeah, same thing.
yeah, we were both like, "Fuck this dude, he can ride." Yeah.
So-
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, as far I was a veil jumper, I didn't notice anything super major that came out of that, other than that I knew the veil jumpers. I didn't have anything cool like make someone a Grey Warden. That would have been cool.
Well, that's what I mean. Though. I kind of want to replay this game as something else now because I think there are a lot of like subtle choices that you don't realize that you can do. Like maybe you guys ran into something that you didn't even know was a choice. Like with this mayor stuff, I knew it was a choice because I made that choice as a Grey Warden. But I don't know anyone else who played like a Grey Warden, so nobody saw him show up in that other zone and have him be a hero and get a redemption. So maybe in your case there were like scenarios like that too, where you didn't really notice that it was different from other people, but it was. Do you think that's possible or
More
not?
than likely. I can say when I was playing with the Antivan Crows, depending on like the choices that you do in the Antivan Crows, you get like the Antivan Crow dialogue option. And they actually give you more lore, but they also give you a different outcome as well for some of the choices. I think there was one in Treviso where it was about a couple. I think it was a couple. It was a couple where one of them was a Antivan Crow and the other one was a I forgot what did they call the enemies, the human enemies. I forgot what they called them.
I forget. Who cares?
I forgot their names, but
It'll come to us.
basically they were lovers, right? And as an Antivan Crow, you know, their whole thing is like they're not supposed to side with the enemy, and like there's these
The
couples
Venatori?
in there. The Venatori, that's what they were. That's what they were. And so I had an Antivan Crow option where it was just like instead of reporting them, just give them the heads up and just tell them to go. And that's what I did. And they were just like, huh, that's interesting that you did that because you know you basically voided our contract with that. And you know, the Antivan Crow always finishes their contract. They love saying that for some reason. But yeah, that thing, you know, there is some subtle differences, but I don't think it's that big as well. So
Okay. Another choice that we had was early on at the end of Act 1, if you will, was the siege of the Grey Warden stronghold with the dickhead first warden. Remember, you had the choice of whether you were going to punch him or talk him down. Now, I chose to talk him down, and he ended up like being like a hero, sort of like he joined the cause and he had his little moment. What did you guys go with? And Locke, did you have anything interesting as being a Grey Warden?
Yes, well, that was like a big part for my rook because he was a Grey Warden, and I ran into that guy before, and he hated my rook. So they had like this little antagonistic relationship. I punched him out and took command of the Grey Warden. So my rook was the commander at that point. But the interesting thing, what you just said, I never realized that this also happened in other playthroughs because I punched him out. And then later at the end, he came back and also had his little heroic moments. So it's once again, I think, an example of a choice that didn't really matter because both our outcomes were the same.
Okay. What did you do, Sensei?
man, I punched that dude lights out, and I was like, I punched him out so bad because it's just like this dude was getting in my face. I'm like, dude, there's literally people dying. He's just like, it doesn't exist, and I'm like, bro, look outside. And I was just like, you know what? I punched his lights out. I was like, I hope you got a concussion. And then I was like, hey, I was searching for his pockets, hoping he had $20 in there. But after that, it just got to the point where I was just like, okay, there's no point in talking you down. You're firm on your stand. You stand at 10 toes down. So I was like, might as well just knock your lights out and assume command because I can do better than what you're doing right now. You're saying, oh, I love my brothers and sisters. These are my Grey Warden family. And I'm like, I'm looking outside. I'm like, you send these people to die. What's going on? They're just like, Sarge, help me out. It's like, no, like, go, get out of here.
Yep. All right. Were there any other like big meaningful choices that we want to get to before we get towards the ending, which had a whole bunch, and I got notes for each one. We'll get into it. Mm-hmm. Anything else we want to get to before we kind of cut towards the ending?
Every character had like their own little outcomes, but you didn't really get choice. Well, you get like binary choices, like do you get the Griffins, give them to the Grey Wardens, or make them protect Arthur.
I gave the Griffins to the Grey Wardens. What did you guys do? Yeah.
Oh, I made I made them go to the elves, protect the elves.
Yeah, I did the same. Send them to the elves.
I was like, nah, they've always served the Grey Wardens. That's what they know. They like fighting. Asan loves Davrin or whatever. He wants to be with them. I was like, you guys go chill with the Grey Wardens. Plus, we need you to fight too. So I was like, okay, yeah.
Sure.
So that's what I did. As far as deaths, the only death that I had, which I guess, we'll get to that when we get to the ending, actually. So hold on. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there was anything else that was like real crucial before we get to the amazing ending. We fought a bunch of dragons. That was cool, but nothing really super meaningful until the ending, I would say. You guys want to get into it?
Sure.
Yeah.
Let's do it. So in the ending, it's kind of like 2 or 3 big quests just back to back to back. And these endings are just filled with choices. And it's super awesome, very reminiscent of Mass Effect 2, like I said. It does take into account your rating that you have with your companions. If you earn their trust and loyalty, that matters. And also the strength of each faction. I got all the factions up to max strength before I did the final mission. So we were ready to go. We were ready to fight. We were a well-oiled machine. So when you started off, you have a couple choices, and we're going to go through each one and see what we picked. So the first big choice you have is you have to pick someone to lead the side distraction team. And you have a choice between Davrin or Harding. I chose to have Davrin lead the side distraction team because he's a Grey Warden. And they kind of hinted that, like, this is what Grey Wardens do. You're dealing with like the blight and stuff. So I sent him in there. I kept Harding with me. What did you guys pick on that one? Locke.
Well, this choice was interesting because they already taught you at the very beginning of the game that the one who you send away is going to get in trouble. Remember, like at the very start of the game, you sent either Nev or Neve and Harding away, and the one who goes away gets hurt, right? So I figured, oh, they're going to do the same thing here. Fuck you, Harding. Goodbye.
But you said Davrin was your least favorite character.
That's true, but I was a Grey Warden, and so was Davrin. Okay. So I figured brothers in arms.
Bros before hoes.
Bros before hoes. There you go. Okay, so you said Harding because you were like, fuck her, she's expendable.
No, that was a joke. I wasn't thinking fuck her. I was expecting the person to die, and I think. Do you want to get into the deaths or not yet?
Well, we're going to get there. We're going to go.
Sure.
I got line by line on the notes.
So okay. Okay. Go Harding for me. Yeah.
All right. What about you, Sensei?
I said
send for the distraction team.
I sent Davrin because as a Grey Warden, like you feel like he is the person for the job, and I felt like in terms of like handling blight, I don't feel like Harding has that type of experience, especially to lead a team. I mean, she's quirky and she got like these dwarven powers, right?
She had the rock powers.
Yeah, but I didn't feel like she could lead a team. And so that's when I was just like, well, Davrin is basically the best option for that because he already worked in a squad. They already said, oh, this guy's an exceptional leader. And so I just sent him, and I thought that was the correct decision to do compared to Harding.
There you go. All right. So we do that. We push ahead. The next thing, we're met with another choice where there's a ward that has to be broken so that we can continue our quest. And they give you 2 options. You can choose Balara or Nev to disarm the ward. I chose Balara. And as a result of choosing Balara, she was kidnapped through the mirror. Who did you guys choose? Locke?
Same. I also chose Balara.
We chose Balara probably for the same reason, because we were dating Nev and didn't want her to die.
Exactly.
So you already know my choice. Then I chose Nev since I didn't want Balara to die.
Yeah, Nev was probably the most logical option because she is the mage and she has the most experience dealing with wards.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was like, Balara can figure it out. She's a researcher, and if she dies, fuck it. All right. So that's what we did. I think no matter what happens, they get kidnapped through the mirror, right?
Yeah.
So you have to try to save them later. That becomes a key plot point later, which we'll get into. So as a result of this, I did have my one and only death, and it was Davrin. Davrin died when you're fighting. What's her name, right? Gillinane. Yeah. So when you kill Gillinane, finally, Davrin sacrifices himself, basically. He kills her. And Asan died too because I had kept them together. So like Davrin falls in like this little pit of like, I don't know what it was, blight or something. He gets sucked
Blight,
into it. And Hassan just randomly was like, I'm going to dive in there with you. And he dies too for literally no reason. So he died too. Rest in peace, Hassan, you little cute bastard. Did you guys have the same? Who died for you guys?
Well, for me, it was Harding because I picked Harding at the start. So Harding died there for me, which was a little emotional. I gotta say, I wasn't expecting that, but that was like a little emotional for me. I wasn't expecting. I was expecting her to die, but not in such a. I thought it was pretty gruesome. So yeah, I thought it was pretty well. That's the death that really hit me hardest this game, and maybe one we'll get to later. But yeah.
Oh, you had more deaths. Okay. Davrin was my only death, plus Hassan, who randomly was like, "Oh, you kept me with him, so I have to die too." What happened with you, Sensei?
It was the same. Davrin had died and stuff, and Hassan, he's just like, "No, father, no!" And he just decided to dive in with him.
Wait, why was Hassan there? Didn't you free him? I guess not Hassan though.
I'm pretty sure wasn't the Griffin name Hassan?
Yeah.
So
but you freed the Griffins. But Hassan, I guess, chose to stick with.
He chose to stick with Davrin. Like it doesn't matter, and I guess that goes back into Lock Point. It feels like it's a illusion of choice almost, where it's just like no matter what you choose, it's kind of like, hey, take the red or the blue pill, you're still gonna get like almost the same outcome. It's just different. Well, different outcome.
Yeah, it does make sense though, because Hassan was literally built into Davrin's kit. Like his abilities, a lot of them were Hassan coming down and attacking. So if they randomly got rid of him, then that would fundamentally change his character. So all right. So rest in peace, Davrin for us. Rest in peace, Harding for Locke. All right. So that was good. That was a great mission. And then we lead up to the final mission where we have more choices. So in this one, we have another choice. You have to pick someone to break the sigil. And I think in this one, it wasn't just two choices. I think you could kind of choose from like the whole circle. I chose Ulrich to break the sigil in this mission because he's a mage. And also I didn't care as much about him. So if he died, whatever. He did a good job. Who did you guys choose if you remember?
I chose the same option that you had did. Same reason too. I'm like, well, if you die, I don't really care. It is what it is.
I did care about him, but I thought he was going to make it, and he did.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I'm like, he's a mage. He can break a sigil, and he was powerful. He was a lich. Probably for you guys too. We made him a lich.
I didn't. I saved I saved Manfred, but yeah, I had to. I love Manfred. He's my buddy, so I had to sacrifice my lichdom, but he still did it. So good for him.
Okay, hey, fair enough. And then you had another mission. I think this one was kind of a no-brainer. I hope we all picked the same thing. There was one where you had to pick someone to kill the mage. I, of course, picked Lucanus because he's literally an assassin. I mean, he's the Antivan Crow. I'm like, if someone's going to kill a mage, it's going to be my assassin. So I sent Lucanus. He got the job done. You guys did the same?
Yeah. I mean, it's in the name. The mage killer. So it's just like, okay.
And he also needed redemption from his failed attempt before. So
yeah, he did. And then you have a choice of someone who's going to deal with the giant mech. There was a big giant mech that was fighting or something. The choices weren't the best for me. I ended up going up with Harding just because, one, I didn't care that much about her. And two, I figured, she had rock powers, so maybe that would somehow give her a chance to beat the mech. Somehow, even though she's just a little dwarf, she was able to get it done. With the help of the allies that were there that were maxed out. They all lived and they took out the mech. How'd it go for you guys? Who'd you pick?
Well, this is where I picked Davrin because he was still alive for me. And he felt like the strongest one to do it. So I picked him.
Good call.
I chose Tosh because she fought dragons. So it would make sense that she can fight gigantic golems and stuff. And she can lead a team and notice the weak points.
Yep, that would have been the good pick. And the reason why I didn't pick Tosh is because I was trying to save Tosh for my main team because I was playing as a mage and my favorite team to play as a mage was me, Nev, and Tosh. Because Tosh is a really great combo because she can taunt and keep them off of me. Yeah. And she also comboed with Nev, who was my romance or whatever. And they did a big explosion attack together. So I was trying to save Tosh, and that's why I sent Harding. All right. So then we get towards the final battle, right? Let's see. So you get to pick someone to send back to help defend people. We're climbing up the big beanstalk, right? We're climbing up the big beanstalk to fight the final boss. and you have to send one of your companions back to help your allies. Who did you guys choose, and how did it end up? Locke?
I don't remember this. You have to send somebody back?
Yep, you pick one ally to hold the line while everyone
Oh,
else
yeah,
goes
yeah,
up.
of course. This is where I picked Hodge.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Good choice.
what? Remind me, what was the ending of this again?
Well, if you pick Tosh, she lives. She's fighting with
because
I think she fights with Morgan, and they kill the enemies.
Yeah, because there wasn't really. I
Okay.
didn't even know there was like a separate outcome for me. That's why I asked this, because I picked just to pick Tosh, and there wasn't really a choice. Like
There was a choice, because I actually originally, like I said, I was trying to save Tosh.
Yeah.
So I originally chose Ulrich. And I was like, yo, Ulrich, even though it literally says to pick someone who was either like a warrior or who was good in a siege, and Ulrich wasn't that at all. But I was like, yo, he's a lich, he's strong, he'll be fine. So I picked Ulrich. He died instantly.
Oh, okay.
Like literally, like he got knocked out and killed. And I saved Scum. I was like, nope. I went back and reloaded, and then I picked Tosh, and she was fine. She took care of business.
That's so cool. I had no idea this was like a big thing. I was like, okay, I'll pick Tosh, and she just instantly killed. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, Ulrich dies if you pick Ulrich.
Oh, yeah. I never knew that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, he gets knocked out. He saves Morgan. Morgan gets attacked, and he like deflects the blow, but then gets knocked down and like stabbed right through him or whatever. And presumably he dies. I don't know for sure because I reloaded the save, but it looked like he died. So, what about you, Sensei? Who'd you pick?
I chose Tosh because I felt like she was the best option, because I think I had Emmerich and I had Balara on my team. And so since Davern was dead, I was just like, well, Tosh is caught up. Lacanus is still dealing with the mages. It's like, well, just go back there and just go ham, Tosh. I was like, yeah, wish you the best. And then I just see her just going out there just like killing everybody. So
Yeah.
like, wow, okay. I was like, well, I was expecting you to die, but hey, W for me.
All right. And so this brings us to the final battle. You get up to the top and you are fighting against what's his
Elganon.
name? The god.
Yeah.
Elganon. So you fight against him, right? You have to beat his ass. And then you're going to make some choices to get your final ending. So what happened with you, Sensei? Why don't you tell us about your ending and fight and what the outcome was?
Well, shoot, my fight with Elganon was easy peasy, especially with a rogue. It was very, very easy. I will say, if you guys play on like the hardest difficulty, go rogue, you'll see what I'm talking about. It's not even a challenge. So I was just like, oh, that's disappointing. The outcome I got, I chose to save, Solus and stuff. I chose to save him, and because I think that even though I think the one thing that I did appreciate with Veilguard and the lore, and especially with the way they built it up, is that, the actions that he was doing was somewhat good intentions. He was just going about them in a very dark way. And that's when I felt like, well, maybe he could be redeemed. And that's what I tried to do. And it definitely changed the dynamic, because I think I had made like a wrong choice where he was just like, all right, screw it, I'm still going to like do whatever. And then the Inquisitor came in, and I thought like that was what changed. And I chose the option to have the Inquisitor still be a romance option. And so he was just like, yes, my love, like, don't do this. Like, he's like, well, I don't want to be alone. And she's like, you're not going to be alone. And then that's how it ended for me. And I was just like, wow, so that is amazing.
So he walked through it willingly for you then.
Yeah. So what happened with you, Locke?
I had the exact not the exact opposite, because there's also a bad ending. But I had my perfect ending, for me anyway, is I tricked him. Because Solus, when he imprisoned you earlier, remember when he swapped you? Before that, I was full in on helping Solus. But when he tricked me earlier in the game, I was, okay, if I get the chance, I'm going to trick you back, you son of a bitch. So I did that. And I switched the daggers on him.
Yep.
And that was such a cool moment for me, because Solus like taunts you in that moment, in my playthrough anyway. He basically told my rook, like, you're not as smart as you think you are. I bested you. I did this. I'm the man. I'm a god, basically. So he punches the veil with the dagger. And then he realizes it's a fake dagger. You switch it up. You stab him. and you basically push him in, and then he tells you, "Oh, okay." He basically does the Jack Sparrow thing where he says he calls you a pirate, but he doesn't call you a pirate. He says like, "Oh, I taught you well," and then my Rook had like the coolest line ever. He said, "No, Varric taught me well," and then poof, pushes him in. Bye bye, Solus. So I thought that was really cool. I thought that was really cathartic for me because I loved Solus until he betrayed me again. So that's how I took care of him, which I thought was awesome. But I didn't know you could make him like, well, I suspected that you could make him willingly go through it. That's cool too. Yeah.
Yeah, I also got the same ending as Sensei, the best ending, where I was able to convince Solus to willingly bind himself to the veil to use his godly power to keep the veil up and save the world, basically. The way I did it was just like he said. I convinced the Inquisitor that she should still be romantically involved with Solus. So she come out and she's like, blah, 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 I forgive you or whatever. And then it was the 1-2 punch because Morrigan shows up. She shows up as like a bird and she's like, whatever. And then she's like, oh, I'm Mythal. And then like, because I had the statue, of course, of Mythal. Mythal actually appears in front of him and she's like, I forgive you. I release you. So like his last remorse of that was gone and he had the Inquisitor. So he finally, he thinks about it for a second. He looks at the veil one more time and then he willingly cuts his own hand with the knife, blooding it and binding himself. And he walks in there along with the Inquisitor. They walk in together so they can be happy in the veil, I guess.
Cool.
And he was like, I'll spend the rest of my days, supporting the veil and keeping everyone safe. So that's what he did. And everybody lived in my game except for Davrin and Asan. Rest in peace. Also, rest in peace to Ulrich, but I saved Scummed. Don't pick him. Don't pick when it tells you need a tank. Don't pick a mage. Did not end well, although it was funny. All right, yeah, Solus. Yeah, we didn't really. We kind of glossed over this a little bit. He does kind of betray you a bit because he tells you that he gives you his word that he will not, by his own hand, harm the veil. But what we find out later is that if we kill Elganon, it automatically brings the veil down because Elganon is the one that's supporting it.
Yeah,
correct.
Yep. So he was trying. He's a little sneaky bastard. He was trying to get one over on us again. But anyway, so that was Dragon Age: The Veilguard. Let's get into our final thoughts. Anything we missed? Any final thoughts? Let's start with you, Sensei. What did you think about the game, and give us your final bars for it?
Like I said, I thought the game was solid. I wish we had more of Act 2 and 3. I also wanted to tell you that I felt like I think I said it earlier, but I felt like they could have definitely improved on Tosh's story. They didn't have to make it too on the nose. Because I remember I talked to you in private that I feel like if they played more of Tosh's story back into what Stein, or I think it's Stan, I keep forgetting the names. Stan. Where Stan in Origins was like, the concept of a woman warrior is foreign to us. So it's kind of odd seeing a woman fight. That's what he tells like your hero for Relden. So when I see that, I was just like, well, why didn't you guys just say Tosh was like this, a person who wanted to be a warrior. So she did feel like that she needed to be a housewife because that's what the Kunari, that's what they are. They divide their groups up like that. And like the women are gatherers and the men are straight warriors. So it's just like, why didn't you guys just tie that back into Stein of what he said, and then you try to change the Kunari in the inside? Because I thought that was going to be a good dynamic. And when you go through Taj, it's just like it felt like they were going to go in that direction. They were just like, and let's not rely too much on Origins. But I felt like that would have been way better. And well, another closing thoughts, and I actually wanted to ask you, Locke, do you feel like, especially with the cameos, do you feel like the game would have been better if they had some type of notes or like, I forgot what they call them, missionaries or whatever, like they had in Dragon Age 2, where they mention other characters as them being present? Because like you said, this is the end of the world. Everybody needs to come together and like band together. So, you would expect like, where's the hero for Relden? Where's Alistar? Where's the King of Ostagar? Where's there's so many characters that you can bring in.
Liana?
Yeah, like where are all these people? And I felt like maybe if they at least say, hey, the hero for Relden and everybody else, they're fighting at the south with the Inquisitor, I felt like that would have been, way better than, oh, they're just not there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. I thought that was very weird because in that way, this game is geared towards new players. But I think if you're a new player getting into this game, you have no idea what's going on.
Right.
Like, who are these gods? What's the veil? What are these darks? Well, like you have no idea. So I think they should have gone all in on the existing players and put way more cameos in this because I really missed Cassandra. I really missed Leonetta. I really missed original Morgan. So yeah, that's what the secret ending taught me too. Like that should have been this game. Like this should have been going all the way back to Logain from Origins and have like the Illuminati or whatever these Watchers, I guess, whisper stuff into their ears. That would have been so cool. So to put that at the end of this was such a shame because that kind of tarnished this game a little bit for me because more cameos would have been so cool, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. I think they did kind of hint, like with the Inquisitor, like you said, that shit was going down in the south too. Like the Blight and the Darkspawn and everything were really running wild down south too. It wasn't just where we were. As a result of these elven gods were causing chaos everywhere. So I think that's where presumably the Inquisitor and the hero of Ferelden and everyone and Hawk and stuff. Is Hawk still alive? I don't know.
Yeah,
depends, right? Depends on your choices.
Yeah.
I assume that they're down south, defending their homelands, but it wasn't addressed much other than with the Inquisitor slightly.
Wasn't that weird either for you guys too? I think like maybe for you guys it was different because your Inquisitor was romancing Solus, but my Inquisitor was just there. He was just like some guy standing there, just occasionally showing up and just giving some advice. I'm like, okay, guy, well, bye. So I thought that was very weird. And again, like I said before, if you have Varric dying, Cassandra needs to be there, or Hawk needs to be there. Those were his people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what. My guess is maybe they were planning on having some cameos and stuff in the DLC, because they were planning on the DLC with that secret ending and stuff, and maybe there was going to be some cool cameos, but they scrapped that apparently, and they're just moving on to Dragon Age or to Mass Effect. So because of the reception and the sales and everybody hating on the trans shit, so yeah, it's unfortunate. I mean, we could have had more cameos. We could have had a bit more awesomeness. But for what we did get, I thought it was quite good. Like I said, I give this game an 8.5 as my score. You guys said what, like a 6 or a 7?
I say like a 7, honestly. I think it's solid. It's not, too crazy.
Yeah. All right. So that was Dragon Age The Veilguard. Locke, do you have any more final thoughts?
Yes, one more thing, because we didn't talk about the locations in the game.
Oh, right.
And I thought a couple of them were really cool, but super underdeveloped. Like, I really liked Ravane, like the pirates theme there.
Yeah.
But then it didn't really matter. Like you had that whole tournament there, remember? Like you could fight the stuff, and then I did it all in one go, and I figured,
was the lamest arena I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was.
You could just the most meaningless. First of all, it never ended. You could just do it as much as you wanted.
Yeah,
and the fights were not hard at all.
No,
and it was just pointless.
As a warrior, I just kept kicking them into the pit every time. Yeah. Every time the fight over. But I thought, oh, this is going to come back later. This is so cool. And it never did. Like, it was just there. Like, why did they do this? But I really liked Ravane, and I really liked, I keep forgetting the name, Hawkleg Wetlands or whatever it was called.
I think it was just Wetlands. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just the Wetlands. Yeah. Those were really cool. That was a really cool location to me. So I really liked those two.
Yeah, it was a Grey Warden area, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. It was always raining in Docktown, by the way. That was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I guess that must be like England, basically. It's always raining and people are miserable and cunts.
Yeah. I got a whole lot of stories about that, but yeah, you're right. You're not too far from the truth.
But yeah.
But as for closing thoughts, I thought it was a good game. I'm glad I played it. I'm sad that it's over now, and that. You know what? I wish that the ending was the beginning of this game. Like, what if Act 3 was the beginning of this game, and then the secret ending was really the start of this game? That would have been awesome to me.
Like, that would have been way better
than what we got here. But I'm glad I played it.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. All right. Well, yeah, my final thoughts are that I enjoyed the game. It's a shame that the whole trans stuff derailed the whole narrative. Well, not even trans really, because nobody in this game is trans. They're non-binary, which is stupid. But anyway, I do hope that for Mass Effect they don't do this crap. Like, we don't need non-binary people. Stop making yourself a target for the hate machine. Just make a video game that's good and fun, and you'll sell well. You'll sell better. So hopefully we do get Mass Effect. Hopefully the studio stays upright, and hopefully that game is awesome, because I am a huge Mass Effect fan. I also have never played as FemShep, by the way, Locke. One of these days, maybe I should. It's funny. I've played Mass Effect so many times, and I literally just always pick male Shep.
Same.
Like every time. Like, I don't know why I don't mix it up. I should pick FemShep sometimes, because there are people who absolutely love FemShep. There are people who say she's better than the male one, but I haven't tried her. So have you tried her, Sensei?
I have. She is very good in terms of voice delivery. I didn't even realize that until like I played the Legendary Edition when it came out, because I was the same way. I always played as a male because I like being like the gun-ho guy that always gets the girl. And plus, I thought like who was it? I forgot who. Oh, Miranda. I thought Miranda. I was like, whoo, Lord have mercy. So I already had to be the male. But man, when you switch it to the female, bro, the female shepherd is a very changing dynamic, especially if you go like the renegade. Man, like I'm talking about Cassandra levels. I would say like you're basically playing as Cassandra. Like if she just like was just this, war-torn soldier. That's basically what she is on the renegade side.
Awesome. All right.
Good stuff. All right. So yeah, that my final thoughts, like I said, enjoyed the game, liked it a lot. Keep the trans stuff out of the next game, please. Just not so much because I hate it, because I'm more.
You're gonna get canceled. So hard.
Yeah, they're gonna come for you.
They can't cancel because I don't give a fuck. But you can't cancel someone who doesn't care, and I don't care. But I don't have any hatred towards the trans people, but I have hatred towards opening yourself up to a hate campaign. Don't do it. It's pointless. You don't need to do it. Just make a great game. And also, my last advice for BioWare, if they ever listen to this, and they probably won't, but who knows, maybe some intern is being forced to listen to this. Yeah. Here's the takeaway, okay? Bring back Paragon and Renegade. Like Locke said, we want to be able to be an evil bad person too. We don't want to have like just this stupid very good option or just slightly sarcastic but still good option. Like, come on, let us be evil if we want. Let us punch the reporter in the face. Bring it back. That's what we need. But yeah, let's go ahead and get on out of here, shall we? Any final thoughts? Anything else before we go? Anyone? Last chance.
Great job. Thank you for having us. It was fun.
Thank you for having me too. It was good to talk to two bros, man.
Yes, sir. Well, it was great. Thank you guys for joining me. This has been Gamesoverplastic DLC episode number 7, Dragon Age The Veilguard Spoilercast. We're going to go ahead and get up out of here. Everyone have a great day. Peace out. You guys going to say bye? Say bye.
Bye. Bye.
Yeah.